soprano, and she is from our CPC Dulles campus. And so let's start from the back. We'll do this really quickly. Don't worry, there won't be a quiz at the end, but keep emailing your questions and such, and then we will continue with the program. So who wants to start with your introduction inside? All right, just put up your hand if you got one. And I'll bring the mic to you. Hopefully this one. No, we have to. Just two. You don't have to say your question, but just.
I met Michelle, and I didn't know she's from Trinidad. You went to school in Trinidad? Oh, so just school. She's from her. So I didn't know that much, but and I met Z, and everybody around me seemed to know her, so I just had to meet her. So. Well, there she is.
Awesome. All right. Okay. We'll go through it quickly.
So I met Kayla and Namika, and they're both from RPC, and they both sing in the praise team. Kayla sings alto, but she can sing everything.
Oh. I'll keep that as a note.
And Namika sings soprano.
Awesome.
In addition to meeting Michelle, I'm Heidi. I also met Jessica and Estelle in the front. They're sisters. They're here at CPC. They're new to CPC, about a year in. Jessica is in the choir and sings soprano, and Estelle is in the moral support.
Hi guys, I'm Maddie. I met also Michelle from CPC and Nancy as well. Oh, I'm Tila. I didn't really meet anyone.
Well, hi, Tila. All right.
All right, okay, I met Bethany.
Hi, I'm Bethany. I met Tila and I met Corbin. They both go to RPC and they're both in the choir. She sings also, and I didn't hear it too. She sings soprano.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Orba, and I met Bethany from RPC. She sings alto, and I also met Lisa from RPC, and she sings soprano.
It's okay if you just met. That's fine. We know.
My name is Lisa. I'm from RPC. I met Opa. Alright, from RPC, I didn't know her before, but I met her alto. I met Deborah from CPC, and she sings soprano. I met Nancy from CPC, and she sings alto.
Okay. Awesome.
Hi everyone, my name is Nancy, and I met Lisa, who goes to RPC, and I also met, where did she go? Michelle, who goes to CPC, and although I've seen her before, we got a chance to talk and get to know each other more. She lives in Stafford, but she makes it here in record time.
Michelle, I met Nancy, who just moved here from Delaware, and I met Jessie, so she is here because she's on the RPC mailing list, but she actually goes to Miracle Temple. Yes.
So I'm Raquel, and I'm from CPC, and I met Heidi from Dulles, and she sings soprano. You both are one person, so we found out equal information, and we sing the same part, so we're both altos. Yeah. People have told us that our voices can actually conjoin and sound like one exact voice, so I'm going to take that like a one person.
Hi everyone, I'm Eileen from CPC Alexander, but also CPC Dallas. And I met Estelle. She hasn't joined a group yet, but I'm hoping that after today, she'll be fully fledged in one of these choir.
Hi everyone, I'm Jennifer, and I met Cherise from RTC, and I met Jessica Hey everybody, I'm Chandra. I didn't meet anybody because I came up too late. I sing alto, yes, and I go to CBC, and so now I'm Sharice, who sits right behind me.
Hi, I'm Sharice, and I met today Jennifer, who goes to CBC, and Deborah, who goes to CBC, and last night I met Leslie Ann at the movies.
Hi everyone, I'm Z. I met Colleen, I'm not sure what she is, and I also met Deborah, and I met Leon.
Hello everybody, I'm Phil Simmons. Today I met, I'm from RPC, and today I met Jessica and Estelle, they are popular. They are from CPC and they're originally from Florida. Nice young ladies. Soprano and no alto, no soprano, no tenor, but she's, Estelle is looking to be the new latest and greatest congregational choir. Soloist or whatever. Hello everybody.
Has anyone been overlooked?
I'm Leslie Ann, and I met Namika from RPC, who's a soprano. I met Eddie, who from RPC, who is a tenor, and I also met Joseph, also a tenor from RPC. Okay.
Hi, I'm Regina, and I came up too late, so I didn't meet anyone. I was on kitchen duty. I'm from CPC, and I try to sing alto. Sometimes you'll find me singing tenor and soprano. That's Satan.
Anyone else?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Donna. I'm at CPC, and I pretty much sing whatever Mark tells me to.
Like Michelle said, I'm Jessie. I go to Merkel Temple, but I'm on RPC's mailing list because I know Melvin. I met Moise. He goes to CPC and sings tenor. And Michelle, and Jennifer, and Nancy.
Hello, I'm Andre. I go to CBC. I met Phil from RPC, and I met Landy, who apparently has issues. RPC, sorry.
Good morning, I'm Rob. I split my time between CPC and RPC, so I pretty much know most of the people in the room, so I just sat down, ate, and told jokes.
Good morning, I'm Cynthia. I go to RBC. I didn't get to meet everyone, but nice to meet you all now.
Hi, I'm Linnea from RPC. I met Dawn, who was actually wearing the wrong name tag, Sandra. That's how I met her. She told me her name was Dawn. I said, your name tag doesn't say that now. I also met Mark.
Hey, I'm Landy, the one with the issues from RPC. I met Andre. He goes to CPC. He sings tenor, and I met Moise, who apparently knew me from Atlanta, being in West End. He also goes to CPC, and he also sings tenor.
Good Sunday morning. My name is Moise. I attend CPC. I met Jesse from Miracle Temple, and of course Landy from RPC. Yes, we do. So it's the same church, West End in Atlanta.
Anyone else? All right. Oh, one more. I should be able to turn this on.
Okay, so I'm going to introduce Joyce. She's parking, and I tried to get her to walks in here, everybody just turn around and say, hi, Joyce.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. So since we have a little choir here, let us raise our voices a cappella. What a mighty God we serve. What a mighty God we serve. Angels bow before Him. What a mighty God we serve. What a mighty God we serve. What a mighty God we serve. Angels bow before Him. Angels bow before Him. At this time, Elaine was just here. She did the okay, and Joy hasn't come in yet. I definitely want to do the Joy thing. So to keep an eye out for Joy. Please, 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 if you haven't already, I got 12 emails. Keep emailing for our roster so that we can get an attendance list of everybody that was here. Email, just take a few minutes until it comes up. Your name, where you go, the part you sing, and any specific questions that you have today for our esteemed clinician to cpcmusicworkshop@gmail.com. Even if you don't have a question, just email that information for us anyway, up until part 3. So at this time, I will call Mr. Music and one of the cooks today. Give her a round of applause.
First of all, I do want to thank everyone for coming out today. I know Sundays are precious to all of you, and to take this time because you're committed to doing your best for Christ. And that's what is our goal, always to be excellent and that God is glorified in everything that we do. And He's glorified by the excellence that He's able to perform in us. He reminds me all the time, I don't have a tendency, I am a perfectionist. And so, what is it, I'm recovering. But the Lord reminds me all the time that He placed perfection in our desires and in our hearts, but it's perfection for Him. It's His perfection that He wants us to see, not our own. And so that's what we're here to do today, to learn more, of how we can improve in ministering for Him. And thank you so much, and we're happy to have RPC Dulles with us today also. Thank you so much. I also want to take a moment to, Mark didn't know I was going to do this, but thank you. Just water. And Mark, this is not a picture day. I'm so not camera ready. But a part of some of the reorganization that we're doing within music ministry, I found myself really spinning my wheels trying to do everything that I was doing before I became interim minister of worship, and I really needed some help. Mark, where did he go in the back again? Mark Francis has been selected as our director of music now. Let me just explain a little bit first. Thank you. Daryl Hunt is our instrumental music director and has been for the last couple of years. The role that Mark will be taking is as vocal music director. So please congratulate Mark. Couldn't be happier to have him take the reins and preparing to do what I couldn't have done, and really no one else on my team could have done with his musical background and what he has to offer to really take on the challenge of improving, working toward our praise teams and all of our choirs being the best that they can be. And so this workshop is a part of that. So again, thank you, Mark. He's also by my side in the kitchen this morning, so that was good.
Good morning. Lydia? Are we ready? Okay. I've been given the pleasure of introducing our guest facilitator for this morning. I'm very excited to have him here with us. I've known Dr. Mallory. I know him as Mal. I've known him now since the fall of 1997 when I started at Oakwood. And I sang under him in Aeolians. And we've been buds ever since graduating. Helped me to get up here to grad school at Morgan State. And even now in his current position at Delaware State University as Director of Choral Activities there, I have the pleasure of being able to go and assist him from time to time with some of their concerts and other events. So you're in for a treat. This is a man that knows what he's doing. He has sat under some of the batons of some of the great conductors. If anybody's familiar with Dr. Nathan Carter or any of the work that he has done with the Morgan State University Choir, prior to his death in 2004, this was one of his proteges. And from Dr. Mallory, we have such great conductors as Dr. Jason Ferdinand, who is now down at Oakwood, currently with the Aeolians. Jeremy Winston, who is at Central State University and doing tremendous work. I think they just got back from Prague. So he's a gifted musician, accomplished organist and pianist, vocalist, and conductor. So at this time, with no further ado, I turn it over to Dr. Mallory.
Good morning, everybody. What an honor it is to be here. Beautiful day God gave us. Been having some good weather this summer, especially after the winter that we all experienced. So I'm learning to thank God in all things, whether I like it or not. And when I do that, I feel better about that. So this is a beautiful day. I am going to assure you of a couple of things. I'm not going to talk this whole time. We're going to sing some of that food off that you just ate, and I just ate. And then you have questions out there, and I have some questions for you. And so we're going to just partake in that and treat it as a workshop and get you singing and have you feel good about the gift that God has put inside of you. I want to start this off by kind of centering your thoughts. And this is something that, well, I'll just see how it goes. Our adversary, who is that person? Or who is that? Huh? Satan, the devil. And what was his main function before he was cast out? Chief musician. I often think about that aspect of what it is that I do, because in music, I'm doing something that my enemy once did. Okay, so in that, your mind just went a whole lot of places, did it not? Okay, so you know, on Saturday morning, getting up in the morning, all kinds of things could come into play, from traffic to you spill something on your dress, kids won't cooperate, argument with the spouse, you know, any number of things could set it off. And so in looking at that, when I have trials and tribulations and so forth, I'm realizing that I'm serving in the capacity of what my enemy who hates me. How many know people that hate you? Do you know of anyone that hates you? And so when you think of someone that hates you, literally hates you, it's really, you don't even know what to do with that at times, because hate means if I could kill you and get away with it, I'd do that. If I could undermine you, stab you in the back, I would do that. And so with that, I just want to start focusing your mind, or get your mind to think that what you're doing is what our adversary once did. So if I get you to further think with me, look at our music today. Look at the music of yesterday. The quality of music. What is music? Where is it going? Where is it going in the church? What's your part in that? Of course, you're here, so you have a vested interest, but just what is that? What will our children have tomorrow? What do they have right now as far as music? What did you grow up doing? What did you grow up listening to? And is that the same, or is that different? And how are we addressing that? And then you look at they're taking music out of the schools. They don't find it's necessary. They don't think it has any value. Yet, in everything that we do, there's some form of sound and some form of music. Anybody ever been to a wedding and there's no music? Anybody ever, you have been to a wedding? Was it exciting? It was not exciting. She said it was nothing. Okay. Anybody ever been to a funeral and there's no music? No music at a funeral. Well, you know, has anybody ever been to a graduation and no pomp and circumstance? Okay, so we have music in all facets of life. We use that. So with that, it's very functional in all cultures. Music serves a purpose in all of our cultures. So with that, just having you think about that. So in that, your voice, and we're talking about voice primarily, it is interesting that I'm here in this capacity. I consider myself a conductor first. I went to school to be a band director. Didn't do that. I got hired to do the band only to do the choir, and then the choir outshined the band. So, you know, and if anybody has followed anything that I've done at Pine Forge, I had the band, and then they phased it out and just gave me the choir. And so then Oakwood, you go do the choir. I always wanted to do a band. I never did sing. I studied voice in college because I was told to do that. I was like, all right, I'll do it because you told me to do it, but I'm not singing. So I had to do a recital, and I told no one I was doing my recital, and the hall was packed because one leaked it out that I was, you know, so God puts you, when you talk about the talents that you talked about earlier, that oftentimes, like Moses, who felt like he could not speak, and others in the Bible, I'm one of those persons. I don't really consider myself a singer first, but yet I have been all over the world singing. I've been to continents, and I have been on tours, and I've sung on major concert halls singing, because that's not just something. So God takes what you and he will do what he wants to do with it, whereas I have all the confidence to conduct. I'll conduct anything, but you tell me to sing, that's when, you know, I become more concerned about what's going on. And so in that, I actually take a voice lesson every week, because but you're talking about perfecting. Whereas conducting, I got that down, I know what to do, so forth. So with that, getting opportunities such as this, I'm humbled, because once again, I'm like, okay, God, you're a God that has a very wide range of humor and wit, because here again, never would I think I would have this opportunity. So with the voice, I want to just talk to you briefly about that. And now we're ready for those handouts, and then we're going to deal with that. Would someone tell me what you feel it takes, and just hurl it out? What is greatness? What is greatness? Patience. Okay. Consistency. Greatness is consistency. What else is greatness? Strength. Sacrifice. Discipline. That's what you were going to say?
No, I said that I was the one who said
discipline.
Excellence.
Excellence.
Submission.
Submission, and then you said leadership, or her leadership. We'll take one more. Oh, we got several. Endurance, humility. So, if I were to ask you, do you have a favorite singer or favorite artist? My favorite singer and artist was, but still is, Whitney Houston. I mean, Whitney Houston can just sing Three Blind Mice and win a Grammy. So with that, some of these attributes that I would say up here fit her, definitely her personality. But when I think of Whitney Houston's greatness, her talent and her gift, she was just naturally talented, naturally gifted, so gifted that she did not realize how gifted she was. And that song, The Greatest Love of All, she doubted herself. Have you heard of other artists that doubt their, you just heard me say, I doubt my ability. Does anybody in here doubt their abilities at times about singing? No, yeah, okay. All right, so we're going to keep it real because I'm going to be very transparent with you. I don't have no problem talking about me. So with that, you know, this idea of singing is serious because it's you. It's about you. It's about your willingness to get up there and practically expose yourself. You know, it's almost a naked kind of feeling because those singers that impact you the most, they give their all. So if I were to ask you, so those that love the Donnie McClurkins or the Dorinda Clark Coles or the Yolanda Adams, etc., they all appeal to you because of some of these characteristics here, but let's not mistake it. You like them because they're talented, they're gifted, they're good, and they deliver something that identifies with your soul and your person. Would we not agree with that? Okay? And then perhaps a lot of these other attributes here is a result of what you hear, but my ear and what my heart feels is that connection of soul to soul. You can't always get that with instrumentals. Have you heard instrumental people play and you're like, that was good, but it just didn't connect with you? Have you heard a singer sing like that too? They just get up there and kind of just get through it. I call it the lawnmower. They just mow it down. You know, there's just no push-pull, no anything. They just get up there and they just do it. And so with that, it does not identify. So part of what we're going to consider today is what does it take to be great? And what is greatness? To me, greatness is the willingness to search for it, to go after it, to be determined, as I have up here, to go get it, to do what you have to do, to be the best that you can be. So with that, a lot of you have various professions outside of music. You love music, and so forth. I did not choose music. I feel music chose me. And I'll tell you why it chose me, because I would like to be an FBI agent. I wanted to be a superhero when I was a kid. I wanted to be a race car driver. I like watching Law and Order. I would love to be a detective. You know, these kinds of things. I'm thinking maybe a doctor, I don't know. But music wouldn't have been something that I said I'm going to necessarily do because I had all of those desires to want to be. And so with that, you you just find that it calls you and then you're doing it. So with your careers and your professions, you would say, this chose me. So the doctors in the house, the lawyers that are here, the teachers that are here, and other professionals that are here, you would definitely say that you chose your career because of your talent or because of your assets, what you have, what you do, your skill set, if you will, what resonates with you. So you've done so. But then there is that music portion that always draws you and it calls you back, or there's something that says, hey, I was with a singer the other day and she was doing pre-med in college, a former student of mine, and she was telling my students that she chose pre-med, but the music eventually won out because that's what she kept coming back to. You do the same. So with that, I am suggesting that you too want to be great. And greatness is really in your mind. Because part of what I say, I have wanted to direct major orchestras. I just told you I've been around the world, but there are things I want to do. I want to meet the President of the United States. But I have decided that if I don't do those things, I change what I want as I grow closer to God. So I'm like, God, okay, I just want to go to heaven. So if I don't get to meet the President of the United States or do all these great things, fine. I teach at Delaware State University. It's not anything I would boast to you about. That choir was worse than anything I could imagine, and I would not take them anywhere, and Mark will testify to that. They were horrible. And so I say, God, why would you put me here, a UCLA grad, at this place with these kids? And so I'm in denial still. But what I've chosen to do is test God. So this year was the ultimate test. I said, you know what, God, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to totally let you do what you want to do. I'm going to be faithful to go to work. I'm going to go to class. I'm going to try to impart some knowledge to these knuckleheads. They don't practice. You know, they won't go to the practice, but I'm just going to do what I'm supposed to do, and you have to do the rest. And week by week, I watched him take that situation. These are non-church going kids, you know, they cuss every sentence, you know, so forth, because that's just where they've come up from. But they're really good kids. They're very respectful to me. But I would dare say that we went from not being able to hold your attention to now we can stand before you and maybe even make you rise up out of your seat to an ovation, because I decided to give it to God. But I also prepared myself that I could find ways that I could connect, like I'm trying to do with each of you in connecting. How am I going to connect? So these few minutes I'm talking to you because it's a trust thing. You have to know, I know what to do with your voice, etc., before you're going to give me the opportunity. Because none of you go to a doctor that has not been referred to you and just start letting them tinker on your body or tell you what to do unless they've been referred or you've read something about them. Am I correct? Okay? And you want to go to the best. I've never heard anyone say, oh, I'll just go to a doctor straight out of med school and just let them deal with my situation. We don't do that. We always want to know the best. And when someone says, hey, that doctor is great because they did this for me, that's a referral, and you take that and you go. So the referral was someone said, oh, Dr. Mallory's blah, blah, blah. So you're going to take a chance. And so I'm going to have to somehow come with it by the end of this so that you can agree that that was worth my investment in time. And your time is valuable to me, but we're connecting is all that I'm trying to get you to buy into. Greatness is something that's intentional. And in you being intentional, you say to yourself, regardless of me traveling all over the place, I'm going to be the best. So for that choir that I told you is terrible, I said, I'm not taking them anywhere. We'll get great right here. And then if God affords me anywhere to take them, then that's what I will do when he says we're ready to go. And so by the end of this past semester, I was turning down places because we just couldn't do it. You know, so it's just kind of taking that all around. So what's unheard of is to make money in music. So I told my president I made $20,000. And he just looked at me. I've never heard a director tell me they made money. They're always wanting to come to me to give them money. I said, well, you give me money, but I'm just telling you, I did generate $20,000, you know, from our choir tours and so forth, and I believe I could do more. So it's just God working that out as he will work these things out in your life when you decide to just give it to him. So I'm going back to that arch enemy that we talked about because we're getting ready to sing. If you know that you have this enemy, but yet you know the victory is already won because we serve a God. And let me tell you how awesome God is, because the name Jesus does have power. It does have power. And I'm a witness. I should not be standing here today. I should not. A couple of summers ago, I went to a friend's for a wedding. And 3, 4 of us, we were in Bermuda, so Bermuda's beautiful. We all wanted to go to the beach and we wanted to get into the water. And I'll just make this quick, but you have to know that there's power with that name. So we're out in the water, and the waters are very tossed and they're very strong, and they have this current. You know, once waves come, they pull you out and you don't know you're going out, and they keep pulling you out. Well, I'm big, you know, so I can float. But we had a gentleman that was very thin. And so really there was no floating within him. He just so wanted to swim, but you know, he just did not float. So eventually, those of us that could float, we started to see that he was in distress. So we managed to get him, and we brought him back to shore, and we said, dude, you stay closer to the shore since you can't float. And you know, but while we're talking, the waves, and we're jumping, and when we jump, it takes us out. And we jump again, it takes us out. And before you know it, we're so far away now out there that we all are, that some of them are having stress. So, one pastor, his name is Damon Chandler, he's in distress because he's trying to help somebody else. So we're all trying to get to him. The other one that could not float, we're trying to get to him. So there's 4 of us out there, and we all are trying to swim, and not knowing we're supposed to go against the current, we are trying to cut through the current. And so I'm like, Jesus, if you do not calm these waters, we're going to drown. So as soon as I said that sentence, up pops a lifeguard, and I said, I don't need the help. You need to get the skinny one. He can't float. So he gives me this little life raft, and I'm like, this thing won't even hold anybody up. But I thought, give it to him, and I'll continue to work my way back. Behind me is another musician, Albert Dudley. If you know Nancy Dudley, he's back there. Well, he's an expected father. I'm like, okay, we can't he's behind me. So I tell him, like, oh, go get him, because he's in trouble and he's trying to get to us. So eventually, I'm now getting worn out, and I had asthma, so I feel my chest tighten up. So I'm like, Jesus, and that's all I could say. The next thing, there's another lifeguard saying, here. And they've got all of us, and they're bringing us in. So, you know, got the beach whale me, and you got the others coming in, you know, for help. But we all could have been in boxes that particular day at God, but that name, Jesus. So in that is your power, your ability, just, because I always thought you have to say a prayer, you got to do something, but it's when you are the weakest, the most vulnerable, and you just release it. And again, I'm giving you 2 examples where I work. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to try this. That's when God does the greatest things, is when we totally release, when we totally submit, and we're just like, I give up. You know, you do the whole thing, but yet you have to be prepared. So in being prepared, there's just a few things on this handout, and I'm not going to bore you with that because you can read that. But there's some things on there that I would like to point out to your attention. If you would. Y'all know about the water thing, drink more, okay? We'll talk about posture, we'll talk about some vows. But I would like to bring your attention to how does one maintain a healthy voice? And then we're going to sing a little bit. We're going to sing a lot, and you're going to love it. But how does one maintain a healthy voice? I would submit to you, everything that you hear, you cannot recreate. I'll say that again. Everything you hear, what you listen to, you can't recreate. Not everything that you hear, you can recreate. I'm classically trained tenor. I can't sing gospel. If I totally just step outside of myself, I might be able to do a run or 2, but that's just not me. But do I like to hear good gospel music? Yes. But can I recreate that? Mm-mm. I mean, I've even played at it, and Mark will be like, no, don't do that. You know that face that you get in choir, like, don't do that. All right, so you identify with me, you're like, don't do that. And he's so serious, you know, like, don't do that. So with that, not everything that you hear, you can recreate. So that means you must know what your voice can do and what it cannot do. And part of that is just your own makeup, your own personality, who you are. So who I am is not that person. So if you were to see me do gospel, you'd say to yourself, I don't know Mallory to say gospel. And either I would have to deliver it in such a way to make you believe that I could sing it, or you would say, he shouldn't do that. And I just told you, Mark just like, don't do that. So you have to, the same. So with choral directors, oftentimes we get caught up in doing what they want you to do because they're teaching you what they know. So this is not a choral thing, but I would submit to you, what they know is what they know. So they're going to give that to you. So it behooves you for leadership that you have someone that knows how to treat you and treat your voice properly. Because once you damage it, say, I can roll that piano and if it falls down the steps, well, we can get another one. You know, we'll pay some money, but we can get another one. Once you damage your voice, you can't get another one. Not until you get to heaven. It's gone. So with that, I'm suggesting to you, not everything that you hear can you recreate. So a lot of times we're listening, and I enjoyed, because you got the new album too, that Ricky Dillard album that you were listening to, I said, that's a good one. That's a good, I like Ricky Dillard. But the things that he does, or he allows his singers to do, or he wants his singers to do, because I've interviewed him and why he does what he wants. That's manipulation of the voice. He wants his singers to give you that, that's on purpose. But that's not what the voice is intended to do. But what it does is it creates a brand. And so you buy into that because that's different. I like that. People like Donnie McClurkin because he's got that husky sound. But if you knew that Donnie McClurkin, one of his vocal folds does not work, it's permanently damaged, but he continues to sing. Same thing with Vicki Winans. Permanently damaged vocal cord. Did you know Yolanda Adams currently, you haven't seen much of her lately, she's on vocal rest. The doctors told her, chill out. The cords are stressed. You've watched the reality show Mary Mary. You know where I'm going. Mary Mary. Erica was on what? Vocal rest. Cords bleeding. Not everything you hear these artists do are you designed to do. So it's almost like you've got to find who your identity is, as do they. Because we are now thinking that if I do this, I'm going to be accepted. If I do this, I'm going to be popular. If I do this, I make money. You know, all of those things that totally go against what we naturally should do, can do, for the sake of some other things that are only temporary. Okay, so I'm setting the stage for where I'm going. And mind you, I'm not looking for you to be an opera singer, so just totally cancel that thought. Okay? I'm the voice teacher for Amber Bullock. I was a voice teacher in college, and she studied voice with me, and I told Amber, do not tell anyone. I mean, you can tell me you study classical voice, but don't ever get up and try to sing an aria. Because what she does is she just slips a little gospel in there, and before you know it, it's a gospel aria. And we can't have that in Mozart. So with that, you know, we just do the best that we can with that. But she got the concepts. And so with that, she is able to sing in a way that she uses what she has learned, which is what I'm going to give you. So in this handout, a couple things that I am interested in wanting you to be mindful about. And that is reduce demands on your voice. You know, your voice can only do what it does. And so you can't force it. Okay? So how many of you are on your praise team, after you have sung on the praise team, just be honest. Just be honest. Does your voice feel tired? Does it feel the throat hurt? You know, those are signs that we've got some stress going on here. You know, whereas later in the day you sing a little bit better, whereas in the morning it's more challenging to sing in the morning. You know, I used to feel that way too. I don't, you know, to sing in the morning, but now I prefer to sing in the morning because my body is more up, ready to go. And so many of you don't realize how physical the stamina that you need to sing. So the fact that you ate a good breakfast is what you're going to have to do when you start singing for church, because your body needs fuel. It needs that because you're going to need to generate breath. And so we're going to talk about breath. If you do not have breath, can't sing, period. If you cannot get that breath going, can't sing. Because that's the myriad of canceling out problems right there. If the breath is working, we can deal with everything else. But if we cannot get your breath going, then we're going to have struggles. Then we've got pitch problems, the throat's involved, we get it fatigued, and then eventually it shuts down. It's almost like you're trying to lift weights, and eventually you can't lift anymore because you have reached your max. No more reps. It's the same thing with your throat, okay? So I'm looking at it from that. But just, I want you to be mindful of that. Avoid hard vocal attacks. And all of those glottal kinds of things. Do you find yourself doing some of those things when you sing? Or do you hear people, when you hear people singing, you get that guttural sound? Those are things that avoid doing those kinds of things. Now, you know, mind you, there's a barometer. Middle, too much. We always want to stay in the middle. Anytime we're to the extremes, that's not a good idea. So I'm not saying don't ever, because we want some good gospel, but the thing that I'm telling you, I just named some great artists that had to go see vocal doctors because they're on rest, because they didn't stay in the middle. And Yolanda is a jogger. She jogs a couple miles every day. I interviewed her, so I'm speaking with some type of authority here. So she's a jogger. So the fact is that it's how she's using the voice and so forth. So we're going to talk about registers and all of that. Would you look on the back page? Because like I said, the rest of this you can look at on your own. I just wanted you to have something so you came to workshop. There's a barometer of how you can use, because I would say not an attack, but a stroke. Okay, Mark asked glottal attacks. Should we not avoid those completely is what he's asking. I am suggesting that you not necessarily give me an attack, but you give me a stroke. And there's a difference in the two. Instead of you be more intentional to give me a glottal stroke, and we can do that through the vowel, and I'll talk about that some more. But the attacks are more when you do something in your larynx. Your larynx, men have them more obvious than women. We call them the Adam's apple. But when your larynx, it pops up, and you do an attack, it's almost like taking two bands, and they do this, so your vocal cords have the ability to stretch. Only about this long. So what happens is your vocal cords being about this, and then your vocal cords are as thin as your fingernail. Your natural fingernail, that is. So if you look at your natural fingernail, your vocal cords are about that thin or even thinner. So with that, if you notice, if you know that they're that thin, and you go up, and you keep doing that, you're stressing them out. And then if they're not going to expand with you, then that's a vocal, you're fatiguing your apparatus. So what it is, you have two vocal cords, and you want them to do this so that they work together, and they rub, and they vibrate, and they make frequency. And that air goes through that frequency, which is coming through your throat. But all of that sits back here from all of this tissue and all of this bone. And I'm not going to bore you with all of that. But what I'm saying to you is that you want the breath to be able to pass. So if you create problems, then what's going to happen? You develop what we call a callus. If you have a callus on your finger or on your foot, you get a callus from wearing shoes that cause friction on your skin, and then they develop this hard callus kind of material, and you work to get it, that's why we have pedicures now, you get that off and all. Well, you can't do that with vocal cords. So once you get a callus on your vocal cord, the only thing that can happen is one of two things. You can have vocal rest and let them naturally go away, take speech, or they also have this process where they can burn them off or cut them off, and then your voice is almost never the same. And you don't want that, because these are calluses on your vocal cord that are as thin as your natural fingernail. So what I'm trying to explain to you, not to make you fearful to sing, but to let you know that you're fearfully and wonderfully made in God's image, and that God does not expect you to damage your vocal apparatus to praise Him. I'll say that one more time. God does not have the expectation that you damage your voice to praise Him. So all the music that you're listening to, that you want to somehow recreate because it's popular, because it brings joy, it brings acceptance. I think that's the greater one, acceptance. It's what's the fad right now. It's what the media floods 104.1. You listen to it constantly, so forth. Because imagine if there were more varieties of music. What would your palate then be? Because all of us have a different diet of food. We don't eat the same food every day. Now, some cultures do, but not our culture. We mix it up. We do various things. So I suggest to you that if gospel is the only thing that you list, gospel music, contemporary gospel music, and you never listen to anything else, then your diet is just that one thing, and you only can recreate that one thing. So having gone to other foreign countries myself, how they idolize Americans, when I've given workshops over in other countries, they want to sound like an American Idol. And I'm like, why don't you sound like you? Let me just hear you. I don't want to hear any affects. I don't want to hear all of that stuff going and you trying to do a run here. And these are little kids too trying to do this with the here. And so they're trying to do all of this. And I'm like, you're so young. Why can't you sing me a kiddie song or sing me a... You're trying to be big and grown before... I gave a lesson to an 11-year-old. And she's singing some big old love song. I just look at the mother and I'm like, for real? I was like, all right, I know what you're trying to do, but I'm like, I want to suggest, some other repertoire. And by the time that, and mind you, there are different ethnicities, so I was trying to be careful at what I said because that's the other thing. But they came from New York. They said, we heard you're good, so we want to come down here. So I was like, okay, but I think your daughter's not going to have a voice in 5 years if we keep letting her go this direction. So I'm just suggesting to you that the more you know about what you're doing and the more you set your palate for listening, the more eclectic you're going to be. Does everybody understand where I'm going with that? Last thing, 75% of Americans are chronically dehydrated. Okay? Cords need to stay dehydrated, and they need to stay hydrated. Your vocal cords need, and you cannot drink a bunch of water the night before and think you're hydrated. Okay? It's got to be something you're doing all ongoing, 3 days before 5 days, but water. The thing is, 37% of Americans mistake thirst for hunger. So imagine if you were to drink more water, you might not be as hungry. Okay? So these are just some things that I wanted to just give out. So lack of water is the #1 cause of daytime fatigue. Okay, so if you all drink more water, you're going to have more energy to sing, more energy to do your work. Okay? And so preliminary research indicates that 8 to 10 glasses of water daily significantly eases back and joint pain. How many of you have back and joint pain and things? So drinking more water, that's going to help with that. So water has a lot of positive things. And you get that good water, it's almost like you're drinking juice. The good water. And they have some good stuff, like Fiji water, I think because that's got some crack in it or something. That's just good water. Volvic water, that's good water. Good water. But each of us has a different palate of what you like. But to me, those are some, and it's not overly expensive, but Fiji and Volvic, you can't find Volvic a lot over here, but Volvic water, that's over in Europe. That stuff is it's just great. It's just great. And they now have this other bottle of water, and it's got the silver cap on there. Yes. Yes. You pay for it, but that's good water. That's good water. So, maybe instead of buying juice, you buy some good water, and then you'll think that you're drinking juice because you spent all that money on that good water. I don't know. But it really does, it does taste good. So, having said it, drinking at least 5 glasses of water daily decreases the risks of colon cancer by 45%, breast cancer by 79%, bladder cancer by 50%. So water has high probability to keep your body in a good, healthy state. Okay? Any questions on anything that I have said? Because we're now getting ready to sing. Any questions? Great. Would you please? Everybody, if you would stand, and I would like for everybody to face this wall over here, this way, if you would. And would you just find your neighbor in front of you and just gently karate chop their back? Karate chop. Karate chop. Quickly, just karate. And give it to them, karate chop. Karate chop. Yeah, karate chop. Karate chop on the shoulders. That's mainly where the shoulder crosses the shoulders and the upper back. All right, about face, switch. Tension out of the back, shoulders. Good, good, very good. Everybody about face. This time, knee bread, shoulders, shoulders, just shoulders. Shoulders, knee to bread, knee. Get that tension out. Okay. About face. Switch. Switch. That's good. Would you now please? Everybody come back to your place and kind of spread out. Yes, would everybody remain standing? Now, Brother Mark, I will now need you. Yeah. If you would, please. I would like for you all to just stand. And I do not like, you have some choirs that are standing on top of one another. I mean, there's hardly any space. I like for singers to have space when they sing. One, for you to create your own sound. You have your own sound, so you need to be able to operate in your space. So in that, kind of just take your elbow and just make sure there's no one by you, at least an elbow's worth space. If they are, they just need to move down a little bit, so you have a little space. Your little space to sing. The next thing I would ask that you do is you put one foot slightly in front of the other. And the reason for that is, should in your singing or anything you get lightheaded, you've got some balance so that you don't go backwards or forwards. You can catch yourself either way, so you've got your foot. But oftentimes I'm correcting posture or singers that stand. First of all, if I stood like this, you've seen this. You see? I may have seen people stand like, already, what does that do to you? What does that tell you? That makes a statement to you, does it not? I'm stiff or uh-oh. I just go uh-oh, because I don't know what I'm going to get when I see that. So you've got to turn them out. But I have singers that come to me and they stand, I can't even do it, it hurts. But you want to make sure that your feet, they don't have to, now you've got people that are slew-footed, I get it, that barometer, but you want to spread, have a little space, so you kind of spread your feet out a little bit. So in everything, there's always posture. For basketball, there's posture. When they get ready to throw the three throw, there's posture. They get their stance. So singers have to have a stance, and so you've got to have it so your knees can bend and all of that, because you're going to create breath. Your body is a conduit for breath. So I'm just talking about space. Now, if everybody, please, if you would lift weights with me, I feel holding this mic. If you lift weights, if you do this with me, great. So you see how square like your shoulders are when you do this? You got your weight here. Now, when you extend your arms, all the way out. You see See how tall you are having extended your arm. You see how tall you are having extended your arm? Now, without letting anything collapse, gently bring down your arms. Don't let anything collapse. See how tall you are? So in that, that's your good posture. Okay? That's your good posture. So all of you should feel your sternum taller. You feel very militant right now. Okay? Okay. The body has to have this kind of posture because now I'm going to ask you to breathe in that same space. So would you please go back with me? Okay, you lift the weights. Can you feel that? Extend. See how tall you have made this sternum bone. It's tall. Do not let that crash. Bring it down. And just take a breath with me. Breathe. Release. All of you felt your rib cage expand, did you not? Breathe with me again. Some of you feel your stomach, your abdominal wall right here. Breathe. That's what we want. Breathe again. Release. So if you're up here, naturally your abdominal wall is going to jet forward. That's what we want. That's correct. Okay? So everybody breathe again. Because you fill it up, blow it out. Good. Breathe again. Blow it out. Take it through the mouth this time. Blow out. This time take it through the nostrils. Did you get more that time? Blow it out. You felt it go deeper. Yes. This time, everybody, please, in that good posture, just go. Pulse it. Not so hard. You feel a little tug right here above the abdominal or above your belly button? Good. Welcome to your diaphragm. That's your diaphragm. Everybody always like, where's the diaphragm? There it is. So it took the diaphragm to pulse that. Okay? And you would not be able to find that as easy if your posture is not the way it needs to be. Now everybody can't crash. Just let it go. Okay? Get it all out. Okay? You feel the difference? How just everything? So when you're not singing, go back to that. Just let it crash. Okay? Great. Great. Let's do that again. Good posture. Back up. Can you find it? Or we need to stand. And then down. Good. Now I'm going to go rather quick, but we're going to continue to explore on this because I think you're going to learn from one another. We hear the singer, and we hear you based on your ability to produce pitch to vowels. We hear you based on the vowel that you make. Okay, you can't really sustain consonants. So it has to be vowels. So E, A, A, O, U. And in your handout, I gave you some suggestions. You know, box, rectangle, longer rectangle. Then you have a dime, nickel, quarter, depending on the vowels. So bright vowels, we're thinking more of the box, opening as far as how you elongate the jaw. Whereas the dime, nickel, quarter, we're thinking in the oo position. Oo is the dime, and o is how we grow in a round formation, because you talk about round your tones, what's that? So oftentimes conductors will tell you to do stuff and you're not really sure about what they mean. And so you will manipulate your voice trying to give them what you think it is that they want based on what they told you. So with that, the more descriptive your director can be, the better singer you're going to be to the conductor if they have a good imagination. Because again, we're trying to get you to create what we call colors. Everybody's voice has colors. And depending on how God made your voice, we've got people that have dark, deep voices, like I love Miss Arthur's voice. I grew up listening to her. Don't you want to see Jesus? Don't you remember? Have you all ever heard her sing that? But I grew up listening to that. And there's another one, When You Pray or something like that. But anyway, it's velvet. This color, your pew, her voice is velvet, mezzo-soprano. You're going to hear Lydia in a second. Lydia's a coloratura. You didn't know that. So but it's her ability to create colors. So in that, Mark's a bass baritone, colors. You know, Joe over here is a tenor. But then I could get another tenor, like Eddie has a different color. They both have the ability to sing tenor, but one is a brighter tenor, one is a darker tenor. And I'm probably the darker of the three of them because I'm older. Well, Eddie and I are the same age, but I'm older than this one. But in that, your voice is your voice based on how you're able to create vowels and how your breath produces that. So the first vowel that I always teach is the E vowel, because many people sing the E vowel many different ways. So I'm going to ask you and tell you how I want you to sing this E vowel. And then we're going to go this side and let you see what side is doing it the best. And we're going to talk about that. But I would suggest that your E vowel is going to be your departure. Okay? So just like when we leave here, you know where this is. You're leaving here, and I do my GPS, because I get lost every time I come here. I do my GPS to tell me to take me back to Upper Marlboro, Maryland. But my point of departure is here. So I'm suggesting that how you sing your E vowel is your departure for your other vowels. So if you do not have a good E vowel, I'm suggesting that the other vowels are not going to be good either, because you don't have that one good vowel. So if you have one good vowel, which is home, then you have a basis to relate. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to deal with that. But everybody, if you would, I think, Mark, what I want to do is a G, octave Gs. Yes, perfect. Everybody, if you take one finger, and just put that one finger in your mouth. You hear how much space? I need one finger. I always say one finger space for your E. Okay? One finger space for your E. Okay? So I'm the basketball coach right now. The coach is telling you I need one finger space. Well, that's what you bite down my fingers a little bit, and you give me one finger space. So never do we sing with the teeth all the way together. Okay? Because this is what you're going to get. You hear that? You see people that sing like that, though, sometimes. And you also hear that. Where do you hear that sound resonating? In my nose. I sound nasal. You do not want to sound nasal, but you do want the sound to be around your nasal cavity, but you don't want it to sound nasal. So, if I just open up my mouth, one finger says, and so when I close the teeth, it went back up in my nose. When I let the teeth, that say, I always sing with vibrato, but in that, you know, sometimes people sing straight tone to kind of clear up where it is. So the idea is you want the tongue to be at the base of the teeth, right here at the base of your teeth. The middle of your tongue is going to arch. If you all say ye, ye, you see how the middle of your tongue really curled up in the top there of the roof of your mouth? Ye, ye. Okay, so tongues have positions. The tongue has different positions per vowel. So in that, for E, the tongue is at its tallest point in the middle. The back tongue is always down, always down. Anytime the back tongue is up, you're going to cough, you're going to feel a little scratch, the tongue will move, and so forth. So the tongue is a muscle in itself. So the back of the tongue is down, so the hair can come over the tongue, and it's going to come over the middle of the tongue and off the face. So even without the mic, you hear me. And the idea is I take lessons so that I can sing freely, but the Italians developed the art of singing so that you could sing without a microphone over orchestra. So depending on how big your voice is, you sing certain composers. So with that, certain composers wrote for bigger orchestras. Imagine singing music with at least 70-piece orchestra, brass, about 40 strings, slew of woodwinds, percussion, and you're one person singing over the orchestra. that takes some physical strength to be able to do that, is all I'm trying to get you to look at. Whereas we use these, and so what I can do is I can EQ you, I can tell you dip me in the well, and you can do, and I can barely sing, and you're just, the closer I bring this up to me, I sound better, and I use less voice. And so oftentimes a lot of your great singers are not as great as you think they are because they have good sound engineers. And they can make this great sound and I can just sing anything and barely do something. So it's all can be a facade here. However, you're not going to be like that. So with that, I'm suggesting one finger space. Good. So let's go back to that posture. And what I want you to do is, I literally want you to take that breath and trust your breath to produce the pitch. No glottal attacks or anything. You're just going to take the breath and, okay, with me? Breathe out. Yeah, let's do that again. One finger space. Now resist squeezing E. You see E? You want to pitch. You hear that? You hear what I just did? E. Just breath. E. Take breath. Sing. Go. There it is. Notice no pressure, no weight. Did you feel any pressure? No weight. Did you feel a thing? That's you singing on your breath. Can we go down a half step, please? Sing. Now I would like for you to again feel one finger space. This time, let's go down again another half to F. And I want you to use those lips that God gave you to make that pitch warmer. This time say me. And just kiss the baby. Use your lips and sing. Yeah. How's it feel? You don't feel anything here? Nothing in your throat? Yes? Let's go down to E major, please. Use those lips, please, and sing me. This time I really want you to use your vibrato, which totally makes the sound. So when you go me, but I don't get as much color as when you go me. Doesn't it feel more color and creamier, if you will? That's the kind of sound this offer. You gotta do what you got to do to hear that beautiful voice. You gotta experience her sing. Here we go. Here we go. Use vibrato right away. Yeah, sing. You want to kick it out. I want you to use your air. So you want to think tall. And it'll sound just as loud. Sing. Yes, sir. How should I head the position? Your head, you want to be level. Okay, some of you sing like this. I sing like this, I shouldn't. But you want to keep it very level. Okay? Along with your sternum very tall. You don't want to do this. On occasion, I may tell someone to lift a little bit to create space for a high note. But right now, because we're going low, you kind of want to maintain level. Keep it level. E flat, please. Use your breath. You see how much, the lower we go, do you find yourself using more air?
Yes.
Yes. The low notes need more air. Here we go. Me, and. And I could have held that a couple more seconds, couldn't I? Because you're singing on the air. Doesn't it feel good in your throat? Yes. You don't feel anything in the throat. Okay? Cool. And you're not singing opera. You're just using your air, correct? Just using your air. Okay, stay with me. One more. Go down to D major, please. Use your breath, one finger space, and breathe. Good. Let's try it again. I hear it. So be careful. You look at me. That's a little too manufactured, and we don't like E, so we want to stay in the middle. So you take the breath, and whatever that is what it is. Okay, that's your voice. Okay, then we're going to go other way. Together and breathe. And. Good. And that feels low for some of you. How many does that feel low for? Does that feel low for anybody? Doesn't feel low for anybody? Oh, that's good. Okay, a little bit, because if you're soprano tenor, that's a little low. All right, can we go back to G, please? Okay, good. Everybody, this time, would you take your left hand and just backhand and go, and sing. Okay, I want you to use the vibrato. Don't be afraid to sing. And part of this is to let the air go. Okay? So just take breath, sing. One finger space. Let's go A flat and same thing, back hand and. How's that feel? Everybody feeling okay so far? Let's go to A major and. Now, sopranos or ladies, please, just the ladies, would you sing, please? Same pitch, and I would like for you to use more of your lips. Okay, and now we're going to break this rule in a second, okay, because I'm going to show you how to break the rules, but right now I want you to see the colors you can create, okay? So, all right, just the ladies. Sing. Spin right away. It lets the vocal cords phonate right away. Okay? Posture, so make sure we got good posture. Start on stall, take breath, sing. There it is. Understand where it is. So you don't feel anything here, but do you hear the depth around the room? Okay? So you don't sing, ladies, sing over here. Listen to them over here. Turn this way and just listen to them. Ladies over here, sing. And. And the idea of it is that I hear a unified sound, but I also hear some individuals. So the more you buy into one finger space. So this time, ladies, I want you to turn to your neighbor. If you've got a neighbor, turn to your neighbor and make sure you've got one finger space. You're still listening over here. Now you're listening for the difference. See if you hear it better. See if it sounds better. Ladies, hear me sing. Very good. Is that about the same or better? Sounds better? Okay. Listen over here, ladies. Your turn. Me and sing. Okay, so they're doing what you were once with. You hear different frequencies of E, do you not? Okay, so now I want you to turn to your neighbor, one finger space, and see if we can improve that. Okay, one finger space. Here we go. Found it? And sing. And it's going to improve some more. Everybody, face forward. B flat, please. Sing, everybody, in. Notice when I went like this, you released some tension, and what happened to that valve? It got freer, didn't it? Okay? Okay, so again, creating colors. You're not singing opera, are you? But you're creating, this is what you naturally can do. You with me so far? All right, so I'm dispelling your fear of being opera singers. I'm just trying to get you to use what God put in there. Okay? You with me so far? All right, cool. All right, B major, please. Please vibrato, and. This time, would you please just give me a high five and sing. Did that feel easier that time? Yeah, because it's your breath. You got to let your breath go. And part of this is you're worried about doing it right. See, gospel music, just do it. Whatever we get, we get. So, and look, you'll take a whole new artistry to gospel music if you give quality in your singing, but it's really the style and it's the good news of gospel. But we've kind of changed it into anything goes as far as the vocal quality, but you came here because you don't want that. Okay, so I applaud you with that. And so that's all this is about. C major, please. Sing that. Give me a pitch. Sing. Yes, ladies, everybody, I want you just to elongate the jaw. It's not about me squeezing that out. Me. You see, if I go me, I don't get as much. You see how tight that is? And sometimes you sing Jesus, which has a what vowel in it? Oh, like that. Jesus. Okay, so you know what? You haven't heard it like that, have you? We like that though. Okay, but I'm just saying, and I'm not saying you shouldn't like it, I'm not. But in that, I want you to give him some more space to work. Let's sing. D5, please. D major, please. I'm just trying to get you to figure, use your breath. How many feel something here? Right in this area? Yeah. This is your midsection. This has to be very firm and strong because that's where all the support is going. So that's why you've got to eat some fuel because that's where this is the core, right in there. So again, give me football throw. Ladies, you can do the same thing. Yeah. We are now. Teenagers. Sing. So ideas, try to resist this way, bring your chin this way, and I want you to, the jaws now. Everybody go yang yang. Yeah, you can go yang yang. You went yang yang. Okay. So take the smile out of it. Yang, yang. There it is. That's where I want your E. And you're going to feel like you're not saying, but you are. And it's a deeper place, and it's a color that I'm after. Okay? Now, are you going to use this in your gospel singing? No. But it's going to be a hint of it, of quality sound that you'll use in it. And that's what I'm getting. Plus, your throat is open. You feel your throat's open? You don't feel anything? I hear some of you coughing, so your tongue is moving. Okay, so when your tongue moving, it's because the air is not coming through you, and you've got to drop the jaw a little bit more. So I had you go yang yang. Okay, with me? Then this time I really want you to throw me a pitch. Here we go. And yang yang. right here? Uh-huh. Good. Working that food off. All right, so after E, I would like to do A. All right, so I'm just doing, I'm going to can't get to everything in this one, but we'll get to several things. So that was E. That gives you an idea. E as in eat. Okay, and you didn't do all of this to do that. Now, I'm giving you some rules because we're going to break them in a second. Okay, we're going to break them. All right, so everybody, would you say E-A? E-A. Very good. Again, E-A. E-A. Make your A closer to E. What do I mean by that? Think it out more. E-A. Don't move mouth. E-A. E-A. It's closer than you imagine. So you feel like you got to do a whole lot or E-A. Okay? Let the tongue do the work. E-A. E-A. So, me, A, me. Okay, can you just do that? Go on, work pitch on me. Me, sing. Me, me. Good. Now make your A taller. What I mean by A taller? You said me, me. You see how tall your A is when you speak it again? Me, me. See how tall that feels in your apparatus? Or if you make it hooty, me, me. Do that. Doesn't that feel lower? So what I mean by taller, it's up. Me, me. Can you do that, Adam? Me, me. Yes. And see, out here, I feel it higher. Whereas you go, me, me, I feel it drop. So in that, I'm looking for you to sing your vowels up as opposed to down. In gospel singing, you sing your vowels up. All of those singers are up. They're high. So they're up. And those that sing runs very well, those are up. So we want to sing for you. Up. The vowels are up. Does everybody understand what I mean by that concept? Up. Okay, up in your apparatus, up with the breath. Me, me. Say. Me, me. Yes. It's very clear. So you're going to sing it the same way. Me, me, and. Me, me. And notice you don't have to spread to get the A like this. Me, me. You see how I move my mouth? I don't want you to do any of that. Me, me. I didn't move. I just up. Here we go. And you do. And. Me, me. Yes. That's sharp, please. And. Go. Me, me. So this time, you're advancing. Me, 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 go. Me, 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 me. All right. Me, me, me. Now, be careful you don't spread me. Me, me. You feel me? Me, me. So use your lips. Me, me. And the idea is I want to walk forward. You don't see people walk back like unless they're doing the moonwalk or something. But most people all people walk forward. So you want your vowels to do the same thing. You want them to move forward. Me. Now, why do I have you do? We call these vocalises. This is equivalent to what basketball people do when they do jog. They do sprints. They do things to make them faster. They have all these exercises. You've probably got some basketball players in the house. You've got other people that do gymnastics or whatever athletic things that you do. There are things that you do to warm yourself up. Does anybody go jogging and never stretch? Okay? Do you stretch afterwards? If you don't do any stretching, what's going to happen? You're going to be very sore and stiff when it's all done. So the same thing with your vocal apparatus. So the thing with this is voice is very difficult. It's more difficult than people realize because you're so used to hearing what you hear, and it's done to make it look easy. The great singers, don't they make it look easy and effortless, like they're just up there doing nothing? Well, that's what we want. But the idea is you're feeling it now. So when you build up your stamina, you too are going to make it effortless. You're like, how do they do all of that? They're not doing nothing. I don't see them doing anything. How do they break a sweat? You know, and of course, in gospel singing, we have been misled that if we don't break out a sweat, we don't have the Holy Ghost. you're thinking. And it's surprising because when I have my students come in there and they're used to it because they come from these Kojic and Pentecostal churches, they're just baffled that they can do what they do and get a good result and not have to feel like they did all of that other stuff. Okay, so it's designed to do what it does, and I take nothing away from it, but I just want to get in your mind that what you're doing right now is healthy. And then you take these principles and you do you. Whatever that is, you do you. Okay, that's the best way I can say that. We're in G. Me, sing. Me, get that me, I didn't like the me. Nothing in your mouth. Me. So we're going to take a breath, sing. Breathe. So, vowel alignment. So you experienced some vowel alignment today in that. What I'm suggesting too is great athletes don't become an athlete in one sitting. So great singers don't become great singers in one sitting. This is just to kind of give you an overview of what potentially lies in you. And I'm going to now work with a couple of singers today, random. I'm just going to pick some of you and do some things. And hopefully, again, that will inspire some things. Greatness, you have to be intentional about it. And what that is, if you feel impressed that, hey, I would like to know more, do more, then you'll seek out someone that you feel could help you. In this area, there are good voice teachers. In our church, we have people that can teach voice and teach well. And you tell them what you're looking for. You tell them what you're wanting, and so forth. And that becomes a one-on-one opportunity to grow yourself, almost like getting tutored. And so for me, I take all my music to my teacher, and she does what she does for me. And not only that, I feel like a better human being because it has something to do with my confidence. So singing, a lot of you, especially men, they're very conscientious about being able to sing, not wanting to crack and do things, because our voices, I feel, go through a little bit more trauma than women's voices, because when they decide to change, they really do crazy things. You're treble one day, and then the next thing you're talking bass the next morning. So that kind of thing is unsettling. So knowing what to do with male voices is very important. And then if you're a bass, is there space for you in the choir when all I hear are 3 parts and it's very high? And so we kind of have gotten rid of 4-part singing because gospel singing is what we're doing. You all go to your choir rehearsals, but we have to get back to the point where we're being inclusive of everybody as opposed to non-inclusive. So for me, I have this history, and Mark can testify as Lydia can. I generally have more males in my choir than females. And they're healthy. It's a healthy situation. I'm trying not to use language. But it's a healthy situation. Can I say, do they get what I'm saying if I say healthy?
I'll be transparent.
Okay. They're healthy. Okay, so generally boys don't like being in choir because they think that it's sissified and so forth. So in this case, I have more guys that play basketball, that have all the girlfriends, blah, 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 because I teach them how to use their voice. And, you know, hey, you could do this. I went to a restaurant just the other day, and I was like, guy started talking to me, help you, sir. It's like, wow. You know, tweeters are up here, low bass voice. So excuse me, young man, I don't mean anything. I'm just asking you, have you finished your education? He was like, no, I had to drop out because I couldn't afford it. I said, what's your major? I wanted to be a nurse. I was like, okay. I'm a music teacher, and I just hear some potential in your voice. Oh, no, I can't sing, I can't. I said, well, no, it's not that kind of camp, blah, 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 blah. And I had my other student right there tell him, you know, and so I just said, I want you to stop by my office. Here's my card. I think I can pay for your tuition if you can sing them low notes. So he looked at me like, are you for real? I was like, and so my student was like, he's for real. And so he finally did call, and I just said, and so he's like, I really have never. I said, well, somebody probably told you couldn't sing. Do you like music? Yeah, I like music. I said, well, let's just see. But his voice had dropped so low that he's told, and that's all he hears. You don't hear any, you know, Barry White's very old, so you don't really hear any bass voices. If you listen to Whitley Phipps, on his album, the tessitura is getting, when I say tessitura, the range, it's getting higher and higher. You don't hear, I give you my life. You don't hear him sing that anymore. You know, it's always something up in the rafters now because, you know, people want to hear high. You know, so with that, the low bass voice, you don't get to hear those low resonant bass notes that he once did. So I'm just telling you, it's what the media feeds you, and we take it and we settle for it. And so I'm trying to get you not to do those kinds of things, because what you're going to eventually do is just cause extinction to take place with certain things. And then we have missed out on a whole beautiful art, you know, that we don't leave our kids, because then they grow up thinking, oh, I only can be good if I can do it that way. No, you just be you. Do you, be you, and be a great you. And that's the thing that's happening. We're having identity crisis, you know. And I know what it feels like to have identity crisis, is trying to find my place in serving God in my church. And so with that, I now have chosen not to work for the church, but to work outside where I can do my thing, and then I can be of service. So I sing in the church choir. So me, the conductor, now sings in the church choir, and I let somebody conduct me, and it's great. It's great, because I can cut up like you all do. We do all the things that were done to me, to that conductor, and it's just a great thing. So, you know, with that, I'm enjoying that change in life. So in that, Lydia, right here. I want you to hear some things, because Lydia's going to be one of my examples of using rules, breaking rules. Okay? So, you can go right up here by close to the mark so you can feel real good. Okay. Now, I was not Lydia's voice teacher on the undergrad level. So this is what I have, or this is what we have uncovered in the few coaching sessions that she took from me this past year. In that, Lydia made us think that there was a cap on her register and on her range. There was a cap. All right, so in that, I'm going to just let you be the judge of that. You start here, please, at 8 flat, please. Now, in your thing, I'm going to use the dark vowel to start Lydia. And so, Lydia, would you give me ooh, but I want moo. Moo, yoo, yoo. Good. Well, I want more ooh. And see, don't worry about that, but it's just me and you now. You feel it getting taller? Okay? So the idea, the taller is that you have a soft palate, which is a softness of a spongy type of thing in the back of your roof of your mouth. Like onion, if you want to say onion, that's where your soft palate is. Onion. Or if I get you to go, did you feel something lift in the back? Okay, that's your soft palate. So for her, ooh, I'm getting her to give me more of that sound in there. And she's got a good E vowel, so we're just going to do that. So find that and go moo-ee. Up after. Yeah, there's your ooh. There's ooh. Yeah, you get it. Yeah. Moo-ee. Keep up half. Okay? Come back. There's more with that, but so now I'm going to take her down. So you saw her round things and do certain things. I'm going to have her sing this way one more time, and then we're going to start breaking rules. Okay, and this is where I would think you're going to appreciate what we're doing today. So can you come back down to teenager? Stay classical right now. Can you again? This time, take it and pull it with your finger. Pull it back. So, do you feel anything right here? And you feel she's filling up this whole space, this tiny body. She's filling up the whole room, and she does not have a. So that's the point of one of taking lessons that you can sing and don't necessarily need a microphone. That's right. And this now, she's using head voice. All of this is her head voice. So if she works with me now, and we're going to use her head voice, and then she's going to go into what we call an extension of her head voice. Okay?
What do you mean by like head voice? So I always hear the term being used, so it's head voice as compared to, I guess, chest voice?
Yes. Okay, she's in her head voice, and I'm going to answer your question exactly. So this is her head voice, and we're getting ready to break the rules after I do this with her, okay? So she's totally in her head voice. Would you not agree? You do not hear any chest sounds, okay? So chest cavity, you do not hear any chest cavity in there. And with tenors, sopranos, well, all of us use chest voice. It is how we mix the sound. I'm a tenor, but I'm always mixing my voice, chest and head voice. Basses will take their chest voice up as much as they can, and then high notes, they will let go into a head voice. That's the difference with basses. But tenors, we're always having to mix falsetto and chest, okay, which makes it harder for us to sing, because every tenor is different. More basses are more in common that they can use a chest voice and take it all up because they got that heft in their sound, and they're not hurting themselves. Ladies can take a chest voice up, but you shouldn't take it up too high. If you take it up too high, all the time you can do some damage. So the idea is today I'm going to show you how to mix it. And she's going to be that demonstrator person for her voice type, and I'm going to get an alto, blah, blah, blah. So we go back to the, we were F. that's her extension, and she's got more above that. But you see how she's able to sustain that? That's her extension. You never heard her sing like this. Because she doesn't think it's popular. So anyway, you have someone that's able to do both. But you're in awe out there. I'm seeing it on your face like, oh my God. So this is one way she's capable of doing it. So now, I'm going to want to ask her to break those here down a little E flat. So, what I want you to do is give them the classical way, and then give them chest way that you're missing. Classical. All right, so she says it's too low, okay? That's because she's a high soprano, so in that, sing your way, because now she's going to have to mix. Okay, so this is what we're talking about. She's going to have to mix. So mix it. So she's mixing so you can hear it. Now, don't put any chest in there and make it all head voice. Oh, that's got some chest in it. Yeah, more ghost-like. That's all head voice. So you use chest voice so what we can hear it. Okay? Okay? Same amount of air, but no chest in that sound. No chest cavity. You understand? The other thing is the chest voice can somewhat cut over the instruments. Mark would tell you I used to slay my musicians because they would play so loud, like we all had built-in microphones. What are you doing? You know? So at churches, oftentimes the band just goes into their own zone. And they're just playing. Because to them, they're not doing anything if they don't feel it. It's not even about them hearing it. Because they can't tell that they know it's loud, but they're trying to feel it. They want to feel the bass. They want to feel that piano. So I had a guy, he always kept the monitor by him. It just constantly get louder, and we're yelling. I'm like, why is the choir yelling? You know, so eventually I took the monitor from him, and we brought everything down, and he couldn't stand it because I just don't feel like doing it. What's my point? What's the point? He couldn't feel it. So in that, it's constantly making your instrumentalists aware, hey, I'm a human being. Yep. I don't have a mic. You know, I just don't. Right? So they've got to bring that down to a point that the human voice does not feel like it's got to constantly belt. That's where we get that term, belting, and you feel like you've got to push because you can't hear. The other thing is you've got an audience to consider. And you hear the kids go, like what she just did, kids probably go like that because there's a frequency that they hear. Yep. But the other thing is kids were like, it's so loud. So the idea is you never can really enjoy colors. All of us have on different colors today. It's blue, the sky out there is nice blue. You got the clouds and you got the trees. All of those are colors. Your voice creates colors. You miss that in your worship experience if everything is just action. So our worship leaders, musicians that you are, it's important that we create colors. So that there is a time, yeah, we want to have a good time, but then it's a time you got to make it serene, so that the angels can come and inhabit. And I was reading this week in 2nd Chronicles when it was talking about Solomon asked for wisdom, and then he built this great temple for God, and all the furniture that he put into this temple, everything was the finest of fine back then. But when the temple is built, only certain people could go into certain rooms. And it talked about that the spirit was so heavy that even the priests couldn't go in because the angels came down so low. And it doesn't tell me that everything was loud and just clamorously banging or whatever. It talked about everything had come to such a calm where the Holy Spirit could come and abide and really make and affect changes. And you know, in your own life, do you ever make big decisions with everything noisy and you just, you come to some type of calm, don't you? And you think that thing through, you pray about it, you know what I'm talking, you know what I'm saying. So in that, our worship service has to do similar. And so with that, the musicians have to be inspired.
Yeah.
So you don't always have to tell them anything, just sing. And you sing quietly, and eventually, like, I can't hear you, but like, come down, hurry down. And then just do what you gotta do. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to make no faces and roll your eyes up in your head. Tuck them, because they can make a break you. They're like, you say you want it in G, they take it up to A, and you're in trouble. So in that, you want to inspire them. And so here again. So, okay, we were A flat. Give them the falsetto one again. Now mix it. Yeah, that was it. Now, did you feel anything in any one of those? It was different. Tell them how different it was.
The first one, false head voice, has more air. Yeah, going through as I'm singing it, whereas when I sing from my chest, it takes more support for me to sustain the same type of sound.
So you heard the chest sound, okay? What sound do you find, now each of you will have your own opinion, but which sound are you finding has the richer quality to it? Okay? The chest quality, okay? Would anybody have a different? Okay, do it again for them. That's it. Everybody hears differently, that's why I'm asking. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's too high. Yeah. Head voice. Then move head voice. Yeah, make it so they really like it. Yeah, I know. That's why I said that. What I said. So you can hear that all the way in the back. Mix it now. Mix it. Can you go to C major? Out of the 3 and 4 and go. Sing it your way. Go. I begin to answer? So, now of course, she's a soprano, but the idea is that you want to have options. And so just in that, I saw all of you resonate with the fact, wow, that's pretty, because you have options. It's like having crowns. You have the box with 12 crowns, you have the box with 16, and you have one with 24 and 48. So the more colors you have, the more your picture you can create with your crowns. Now, it's crayons. Color crayons. Is that how you say it? Crayons? Crayons. You with me? Crayons? You have, yeah. Crown, yeah, I guess. What did I say with that? Yeah, so the human voice, I think, can create about 5 different colors. So you heard her create already about those 3 between dynamics, the mix of chest and head and so forth. But you want to create color. So imagine when you take that into your singing of an ensemble, okay? You create those colors, okay? Vocally, you create those colors. And so that's what we have to. I need a volunteer, alto. Who's an alto? Who wants to come? Alto. My twins, come on. Yes, together. Come on.
Hey, Chad, how's it going?
Okay, so what I'm going to just do is just vocalize them a little bit and so forth. We're going to just fix posture and relax. They're all looking at you. It's okay. This will be the next. So, that's how we're looking at that. If you have your feet one in front of the other, yeah. In that. And though they look uniform, that's the other thing with the praise and worship. I like to see some uniformity. Amen. Because it just, there are no distractions.
Yeah.
Okay? There are no distractions. And then, ladies, the gentlemen, our minds be beauty. If you wear certain things, we're like, thank you, Jesus, for it. We're not listening to you sing, but we're just praising them for other things. So you really have to watch what you wear. And so uniformity really helps, And I would probably say the same thing with gentlemen, but there's more women up in praise things than the guys. So with that, if you can create some kind of uniformed look, and I'm not saying you got to come up looking like monks or anything, but I'm just saying, make sure, as I tell my ladies, it needs to come below the knee. It doesn't need to be so fittingly tight. We know you're curvaceous, and it just needs to cover all the important parts. Okay?
Amen.
Because, I went to one church, and literally the pastoral staff does not sit up on the church. And I feel one reason they don't do it is because they see from the backside of the people, and they just can't focus. Jesus, I'm trying to get my sermon in my head. So, that seems very rash for me to say, but you've got to take those kinds of things into consideration, you as being a part of worship. Because sometimes I don't think you're not intending, I'm going to play like you're not intending to do that. Okay, that would not be your intent. But more uniformity. So when I was at Oakland College, and you remember Elder E.C. Ward, everybody wore a black suit, white shirt, white top, and everybody wore a choir robe. And I now understand why he did that. I would used to hate that. But if you came in there to sing for prayer meeting, choir robe, he didn't care. You go wear a choir robe because he just wanted everybody to focus on the vessel that was singing as opposed to what you were wearing and let that distract you. So I'm not saying you have to do that, but I am saying if you think about the rationale, why do I wear a choir robe? We were looking for uniformity. Choir robes, they just hang. So you don't just totally deal with who's doing what. So I'm not advocating that, but I am saying that the more uniformity that you can create, the more people are more prone to receive what you're doing. And then your heart is going to be
because you'll find out who really is where they are for where they, if you understand what I'm saying. The motives of certain people. Like if you go say, some people won't care. You tell them where because I'm serving God, I'm going to sing for Jesus. The others be like, you know, and so you then can also see, and I don't want to say judge, but the motives of people then reveal themselves when some of these things are asked of them. Now back to the young ladies here. You see your altos, yes? Okay. You've been told your alto, right? We'll see. Would you Would you sing backwards for me? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. You want to half step, please? And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Right there. Can I ask you to pretend to be Rebecca Raquel? Pretend to be opposite. We're going 5, 4, 3. Can you go there? 2, 3, go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 4. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sisters, right? Okay. All right. You push that way, you push that way. So you go from behind and up to that. Okay? 5, 4, 3, and go, go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Push harder. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. How's that feel, lady? Better, worse, the same? What was that? F sharp? Mezzos. Mezzos. You know that? Mezzos. Yeah. Mezzos.
It's just not comfortable. That's the thing that's like one time.
Up that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spoke like that. So that's good. Can we start, please? F sharp down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And give me chest. 2, 3, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 5. Like that, F sharp. Give me a good 5. 5, 4, yeah. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Don't put any more weight on it. So 5. Say 5. 5. Yes. So just sing it in that place. 5, 4, 3, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah. How'd that feel? That was the key, right? Now, if you're flat, how'd that feel? Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
okay. So. You like them up higher? Well, actually, I think the alto is the better thing for them, mezzo soprano. So that mezzos like to sing alto, but they have height. So in that. But what I want to say to you, what is your nationality? Say that again. El Salvador? Yes. They have some, you all produce great mezzo singers. I
together, but they're sisters. They're creating the same vows. So this is what you potentially can do. But if you sing the vows the same, then you're going to sound one. And what I'm going to do, ladies, is as you sing hallelujah, and then I'm just going to go to me, hallelujah. And you'll just do that. Okay, and you sing, and then do it again. And I'm going to all right, one more time. So hallelujah. Hallelujah. You say that to me. Hallelujah. All that. No name. All that. Okay, good. And sing.
This is great, isn't it? Yeah. Just really quick, it's 1 o'clock, and we did say that the workshop will go until then. Dr. Lloyd Mallory will stay, and we will continue for a little bit longer. But for those who do need to leave, I did just want to say thank you for coming. We truly appreciate it. We will be doing this again. As brother and sister churches that may not be here, we CPCers will come and support elsewhere, but this is truly the edification and the multiplication and the honing and the diligence that we need to put towards our gift. Amen? Right. Amen. So I will give the mic back to him, but I did just want to let you know that we are honoring your time. I will take some time, probably 15, 20 minutes to do some questions, because I have quite a few here that I want to make sure that we address. All right. Yes, okay. So again, I brought the signs up. If you have questions, and if you have not yet sent to me your name, church, the part you sing, and, a question, please send it to cpcmusicworkshop@gmail.com. And we will be sure to keep all of that together. It's really just for us to know who is here, who we can continue with. I have a lot of questions about where to continue vocal training. Mal is my teacher. I was in choir with him for a long time. We had a love-hate relationship back then because I liked singing alto. I sang alto in the choir. Had a good time. I did.
Thank you.
No, see, because the voice changes at some point, and it hadn't changed yet, right? So that's what happened.
I've known you since you were 11.
Don't be like that. Don't be like that. No, I mean, who has heard the Aeolians? Right? Right. His sopranos do some things. And I said, y'all got it. So, right. So to the questions, let's just, and thank you for those who've sent it already. We have a lot. Have we answered the question about, all right, the transition from chest to head? Somebody asked about this, and I know I got to be a guinea pig. The transition from chest to head voice, exactly how you do that. My break, and actually, you can come and talk, but I know my break is in the key of D. So whenever somebody says, oh, we're going to start there, I'm like, oh man, I either have to pick one or the other, because that's where I get that little crack thing, and I have to make sure you all can't hear it.
Everybody, would you please, let's do a siren. And what we're going to do is start a siren as low as you can and just go all the way. And so, oh, and you just take that out. Would you do that with me, Annie? Start low. Yeah. So, in other words, did anybody feel like a little transition or click or something inside your mechanism after you? So, you started low, which is your chest voice, and then eventually you went up into this head area, even with the guys, that you do that. And so, with that, that's one way of knowing where your range is. The other thing is we have 3 registers. Okay, and it's very simple what they are: low, medium, high. Okay, so in that, we learn how to sing through all of those registers. And I'm discovering that there are more do's than don'ts for singing. Do use your breath. Do enunciate. Do sing a vowel. Okay? So oftentimes we muddy up the vowel and then the voice does not know what to do. So if you find that you're having a problem trying to hit a certain note, ask yourself one thing: what's the vowel? Number 2, am I in my chest voice or do I need to use my head voice? Because in my head voice, that gives me a whole nother access to go up. Okay, so you have to do that. So everything that you listen to, you cannot recreate. But if you do choose to recreate it, maybe you have to bring it down, a couple of keys, and then sing it in that key. Because again, a lot of the people that you hear recording, they're professional backup singers, or they're semi-professional. They've learned how to do this. They've had a lot of practice doing so, and so forth. So with what you're hearing, it's not always in your best interest to try to recreate that if you do not have the same, I won't say skill, but the skill, I mean the ability that you know how to actually do it. I mean, everybody can learn to do it, and that's where you're going to be great. Next question. Next question.
Okay, so in an effort to make this a bit more efficient, I've turned on all the mics. So if you have a question, is it easier to go to a mic or just kind of pass it around?
Who has questions?
Who has questions? Yes. I know I have like 40 on here. So if you have a question, I can just give you the mic and then we can...
If you have a question, just come to the dance now. Quick.
I don't know if it's just me, like you can see the note and you feel like you can hit the note, but it doesn't go there. Like you want to increase your range. Like I can see a note and I feel like I can hit it.
All right. And I know how that feels. Part of this is your voice is a muscle. Okay? It is a muscle. So with that, it's like a physical trainer. I used to weigh about 30, 40 more pounds, and when I went to get my doctorate, I got a physical trainer. And I bartered. I said, I'll give you music lessons, you get this weight off of me, and so forth. So with that, I correlate the two that I had to do certain exercises, and I couldn't do certain things for a certain period of time, and then as I did it over and over and more time with it, more time, I began to do it. The same thing vocally. We can stretch your range. Your range does stretch. However, we got to accept the fact, if you're an alto, you're an alto. If you're a soprano, you're a soprano, tenor, tenor. However, you can go visit. You know, if you're an alto, you can go visit a high note. But you're not going to stay there, okay? And the same thing, you know, a bass can go visit a tenor, a note, but that's not meant for them to stay there, okay, if that makes sense. So what has to happen is you have to have vocal exercises in your warm-up to kind of prepare you. So for me, in my rehearsals, and Mr. Franz Mark knows how to do this, I will vocalize my choir or my singers based on what they're going to sing. So you heard Lydia. So before I gave her that piece, I was like, okay, I'm going to give you these exercises. And actually, Lydia went above that high note that you heard, about 3 or 4 notes above it, to make that note simpler. But I did that in order so that that note that she hit was easier for her to do, and it didn't feel like a problem. So much like what you're saying, you can do it, but you're just going to have to work up to it. And how you do that is how you get someone to lead you in that. And then the ability thus becomes yours to do.
For those of us that are either choral directors or worship leaders, what are some things that you could tell us that we should maybe impart to our praise teams or to our choirs in terms of just preparation for either how we can prepare them at the beginning of a rehearsal, warming them up? Are there certain things that we should always try to focus on doing with each warm-up, and are there certain things that we should focus on doing in terms of getting to a place of being warmed up on Sabbath mornings? The challenge is a lot of times we don't have as much time to warm up on Sabbath mornings before we sing. And so, what can we do at home in preparation for service?
That's a good question. I'm going to be succinct. I had great joy serving at Sligo because I was able to create worship services week to week, which is a very difficult job for so many people that have so many opinions and also have so many demands. But what helped me focus is what I want to share with you. And that is, I wanted Jesus to sit anywhere in that edifice. Balcony, choir loft, out in the pew. And any given Sabbath that I really worked to create that, he did. I get to sing the hymn, and that church congregation who used to look at me with certain, you could feel it, then let all of that go, and they began to sing. So I had a 1,500 member choir singing the hymn. Or I would have 30 people in the choir loft, and it sounded like 70. Jesus sent the angels, or he came and sang in the choir loft. If you take that mindset that I'm preparing myself, that I want to be the best that I can be a part of my team because I want Jesus in the audience. Because let's face it, if President Obama or Michelle Obama were going to come here for service, you know, the church would be immaculate, everybody would have high energy, your voice would be what it needs to be, you look sharp as a tack, because she's going to look sharp. Everything is in place. And I do know that because I played for a service that the Obamas came to, and that was the most high energy, perfected service that I had experienced in a long time. Senior choir sounded like youthful 25-year-olds. I said the children were in tune. Everybody knew how to get in line all of a sudden that day. Nobody, Arnie, you go here. Nobody's here. You know, everybody was just in order because all hearts and minds were one. So I think that's the first thing is your mindset. Number two, the more you get your voice trained, the more you exercise your voice with these vocalists, because they're vocal exercises, the more present it is. So you just heard me sing a few notes with her. I haven't vocalized at all, and my teacher makes me mad with this, because if I'm struggling to sing a line, she'll just all of a sudden and sing the whole thing, and just, you know, I'm looking at like crazy. I'm looking crazy. the fact is that she has done it so long, and she knows what to do, and she's importing that in me, that the voice is present. Okay? So you wake up in the morning and you say, okay, I gotta find my voice. Where's my voice today? And it is about today. Okay? You do know that some days your voice is not as present as other days.
Oh, yeah.
And ladies, with your cycle, your voice really wreaks havoc. And I'm just going to be real, because I have students that, when they come, because you were fine yesterday, what's going on? So, and so when they tell me, it's like, oh, okay. So, so with that, you have to learn how to sing over that. So that could happen on a given Sabbath, and then you have to know how to have your voice present. And part of that is the body, and part of that is the apparatus, knowing where your vowels are and how to find those vowels. The purer the vowel. E, A, A, O, U. Say those with me. E, A, A, O, U. And I would like for you to do that without moving the jaw at all. E, A, A, O, U. E, A, A, O, U. You took breath to do those. And then the tongue did. You felt your tongue do different things. That you have to get that so that your voice will sing those in all the registers. We have how many registers? 3. Low, medium, high. The most, you have to work the mid-range the most. The medium. A lot of you think it's your high notes. If you got high notes, you got high notes. If you got low notes, you got low notes. But how do you get those? You got to get there by the middle. The middle is your access to either direction. So if you can't sing in the middle properly, then it doesn't give you access to go below or above. Make sense? You feel me with that? So with that, you got to work the mid register. So when we vocalize, I don't take my choir up real high. Why? Because that's not where it's needed. It's needed right in the middle area. Get the breath going through there. That's where the sound wants to get the thickest, and we don't, when we go high, we want to thin it out a little bit and so forth. But in the mid-range is where it's most present and most thick and sound. So with that, we got to move the breath through there freely. So with that, lip trills or humming, and hum and chew. I say hum and chew. Why? Because it keeps the throat from locking, it keeps the throat from being tight. As opposed if you just, you see how I get stuck in my throat? So just in my doing that, the throat opens up. Did you feel it? Okay, you want to hum? You do. Chew while you do that. See the difference of the tone? It just changed because your throat opened up. Okay, do it wrong. See that? You can't hear that. So in that, the throat opens up and that gives you access. And you can take that up as high. You can do the vocal, I call them vocal cries. Hey! And ladies do it in your register. But in that, you're just kind of waking up the voice. Hey! Musicians are weird. Yeah. I'll go somewhere. Hey! You just do different things just to see where it is. So you can do those kinds of things too. Vocal cries or vocal they don't hurt you, but it's just trying to get the voice, to wake up and that kind of thing. The last thing that you possibly could do, should you have the time, that kind of person, is do a quick little 15, 20-minute workout in the morning. If you can get up, if you feel like you can do that, and go there and get on the treadmill or take a walk around the thing, thank Jesus for the good day, and then your voice is warmed up. Okay, so do eat, do drink your water, those things you're going to do, but in addition to that, those are some things that you could do to find your voice is warmed up.
Real quickly, I'm sorry. So you mentioned, water intake and all that wonderful, great stuff. Are there things to avoid, such as dairy, sugar, right as you're getting ready to sing and whatnot?
Yes, your body will dictate to what to avoid. Now, Mark told me today, I'm a Baby Ruth eater. I had a baby Ruth, and you hear my voice. And it just does something to my cords that I feel works. And my teacher says all psychological. I'm like, whatever. But I eat a baby Ruth, and something, the caramel, the chocolate, the all that, it just does something. Now, I'm not advocating any of you do that. But for me, that's, and it gives, so certain people, for some singers, hot French fries or a hot Krispy Kreme donut. One singer told me if Randy Sutton has been to your church, a hot Krispy Kreme donut. Yeah. You know, so healthy options. The thing about healthy options is the chords need to be clear. They do need to do that. You don't need to have phlegm and gook on them, because the clearer your chords, the better they phonate. However, when you eat things that clear the chords so there is nothing to help them to vibrate freely, then that becomes the issue. So let's say you have a sinus problem or something like that. I have taken stuff, concoctions people have made me, and it's totally stripped everything off of my chords that they won't phonate. If you've experienced that, you all know how you're trying to get a voice in the morning and you take something and now your chords are dry because the antihistamine or whatever you took, it's totally dried it all out. And water's not going to fix it, because water is just hydrating you. It's not giving you any kind of oil or lubrication to keep those chords phoning. So in that, staying away from dairy, all that, your body will dictate as to how it does phlegm. So the saying is, not too much, no dairy, no this, no that. That's all somewhat of a myth in that. You know, I'm not saying go eat a bunch of ice cream or cake before you sing, but what I am suggesting is your body will dictate, you know, what you can do, because in moderation we want those things. Right. So if you're hydrating yourself, you're exercising, and you're doing what you're supposed to do, if you eat in moderation any of those things, you should be okay. You should be okay. But the idea to not eat, we don't advocate that. To not drink enough water, we don't advocate that. Strong things such as alcoholic things, carbonated things, those things can agitate the throat. You know, although doctors, or some doctors are saying there are, I don't want to say you're recording that, but doctors do have their sayings on what wine can do for the bloodstream, blah, 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 as in chocolate. They do have their health properties. So it's just a matter of what works for your body is what I want to advocate in that. Does that help? Yes. Yeah, the more healthy we can remain, definitely. Vegetables, and raw vegetables, actually, you know, the more, and now we have the bullet. You know, you can make all kinds of great stuff. And like, if you don't have time to eat breakfast, throw it all in the bullet. You know, and drink that thing, you're up and running. You know. Yes.
My question is, can one train, I don't know if themselves or have somebody train them to sing in a different range? For example, I could sing soprano, alto, and tenor, but I'd actually like to learn how to sing bass. So can one get trained or train themselves to sing in a different range?
Yes, but how do I want to answer that? You said you sing soprano, alto, and tenor. That's probably because you're soprano. So soprano can visit all of those registers. My voice teacher's soprano, and she can sing bass notes. But can you physically actually sing a bass part? I've not experienced that in my 20-some years of teaching. You can sing a note, You might make a pitch down there to demonstrate or something, but can you actually sing that part? If it's way out, because the idea is that Leontine Price, famous metropolitan African American singer, says you always you don't want to sing on your principle. You want to sing on the interest. Okay? You do not want to sing on the principle, you want to sing on the interest. So you've got all of this range, so you've got all of this up here, you've got all of this down there. So in that you have, where's the interest? And that's where that's best, because we're going to hear you best where there's that interest versus I go this way and I go that way. But yes, you can visit, you can train. However, in my experience, I don't think any credible vocal pedagogue is going to train you to sing bass, unless it's just you're a freak of nature and phenomenon, and it's down there. And if it were, your voice would say so. Your speaking voice will indicate. So you remember when I told you about that bass that I heard in the restaurant? You had that presence. We're going to hear some presence in your apparatus. However, you can sing some low notes, but you won't be able to sing a part. Generally, the voice is built to sing within a certain register and range in a healthy way that's pleasing to the ear. And we always want to sing lyrically so that it is pleasing to the ear. Most of us want to hear a pleasing pitch. Right. But like I told you, we do like sometimes guttural sound. We do like that. It does something to us. It just stirs it up. So, I mean, if you want to add a note or two in your presentation just to, give us that, sure. Yeah.
I'm interested, for Christians in blend and key things that they can do to ensure or to enhance the blending.
Okay. Ensemble, blending, learning how to blend. You remember the twins, Raquel and Rebecca? How you sing your vowels is the easiest way, because you can have a big voice and I can have a small voice. But if I choose to sing my vowels the same way you sing your vowels, I'm going to blend with you and you're going to blend with me, even though your voice is bigger. Because we all are deciding we're going to produce the vowel the same way. So remember when I told you to put one finger space in your mouth and everybody separated the teeth and you all sang E? And then I had each side look at the other side and say blah, blah, blah. That was me getting you to buy into that if we all align our vowels the same way, then we're going to have a blend. And it doesn't matter how big your voice is. It doesn't matter that you're a tenor and I'm an alto and you're a soprano. It's all going to be the same way because we're forming. So if you sing E and I sing E, that cancels out. We don't blend. Do you understand? Okay? So, I'm going to prove that to you. Would you please? You two rows. If you would sing the E the correct way, this row, sing it correct. And when I tell you to, sing it wrong. Okay, just sing it any way you want. Okay? You all E. Okay, so you're watching them? Okay, just to prove my point. So, those rows, would you just sing it correctly, one finger space? Say go. Okay, so now, what I'm going to do, and I'm going to even make it even more plain. Everybody over here, and if I point to you, sing it wrong. Okay, everybody sing E correctly for me, and sing. You hear him? Now notice. He's just one person. Doesn't he stick out? Yep. Okay. Major. So I don't need to. So all of that pretty sound got canceled out by my friend here. just because he said, I want to sing my way. So in that's just, you know, and we can take more time. So it's a building block kind of thing. You build every vow and you build it up. So I told you I was at Dell State and they were just the Freddy Krueger choir. In that I had to build up their vows. And I had to get them to use their breath and all of that. So now we can create some colors because we're buying into the fact that I'm going to sing my vows the same way. And so by singing my vows the same way, doesn't matter the style of music, it matters how you sing the vows. So Kirk Franklin now, and if you have noticed, you've seen some Kirk Franklin videos, or even Israel, the backup singers. What's happening to the backup singers? No longer just one ethnicity, is it? It's diverse, multicultural, isn't it? They're creating colors, literally. You with me? In other words, not only am I diverse by having multicultural cultures, but I'm doing that as well as creating musical colors and textures by having a variety of people. So even in my Dell State choir, I have Chinese people in there, I have white people in there, I have Italian people in there, and then I have African Americans. And it's amazing because the colors that I get in that sound as to how they produce. So you can imagine what the heavenly choir is going to sound like, because you've got all of those different colors of people that naturally just take a breath and sing, and out comes what comes. It creates all of that. And there's a place for everybody. That's right. And somehow our enemy has created that if you're different than her, that's a problem. And it's not. It's just that what we're feeding each other says it's a problem, but it really isn't, because there's room for everybody. All right, we're almost at 1:30, so everybody, I know, yes, sir, one more question.
Can you speak to vocal stamina? I run out of gas a lot of times, I'm bleeding.
Vocal stamina comes with just doing it. It's like running or jogging. You train. This gentleman, he's jogging. He has gone on social media and he's declared he's going to do certain things. And so you started out, running a mile or half a mile? About a mile a day, and it's getting easier, and you're getting faster. Okay, so with singing, it's the same way. It's physical, and it takes your stamina. So doing it every day, or, working out vocally as far as doing those exercises. Because what's happening is the exercises vocally that you need to do, you've got to do more repetitions. By doing those repetitions, you then build your stamina. So I keep referring to my choir. They could not sing a full concert. They just peter out on me because they hadn't done it. So what I did is I get them up, and in my choir rehearsal, I'm like, we're going to sing from the beginning of here to the end of here, just straight through. Because generally I stop, know it's wrong, and fixing stuff and banging out parts. Sometimes in your rehearsal, you can just go straight through your repertoire and just sing everything. So you build up that stamina. So what I'm doing is I'm getting the body used to, this is what it's going to take for you to sing this long. So in you doing that, eventually it's there. Because most of the artists that you hear, they don't sing an hour. Choirs are only, or in praise and worship singers, the only one that sing any length of time. Right. You bring one of those guest artists in here, they're going to sing 3 songs and talk most of the time. And there's a reason behind that. They're trying to let that apparatus get to a point, because they were giving you that. And it wears out this. So they got to give it a chance to go back down and get back in place. So they talk to you. And they preach to you. But see, me, the vocal person, I'm like, I know what you're doing. So with that, and then they'll send another number, and then talk to you again. And they create it so that you don't even get it. But I get it because I want to teach one of them, because I don't want to get paid, to fix it. So in that, stamina is just you doing repetitions and just going through your whole repertoire over, not in the same night, but you build that, you know. And the thing about it is you got to be friendly to the voice. So you put you set yourself up to succeed. Don't put everything high up the top. You know, you might start it with something, you know, in the middle, then go high, then bring it back down the middle, then go high, then your bigger number, put it right in there because the voice is ready. And you haven't fatigued it trying to do all of that. You got to be strategic at how you put your pieces so that it fits. So you go slow, fast, or fast, slow, you know, some of that in there, and that's good. And the voice likes that. You know, it appreciates you giving it variety. Yes, there are. Oh, she's asking, are there any vocal teachers in the area, and who are they?
Hi, so this was what I was going to end with. So Mal is what I affectionately call him. Dr. Lloyd Mallory is my local teacher. He didn't teach me in undergrad. I was with another teacher, but he was my choir director, and he is absolutely wonderful. We also have, or will have, an email to everyone who sends their information on vocal teachers in the area, both on our side, Virginia, and in Maryland and DC. But I absolutely love him. He's amazing, is he not? Yeah. I think this is a great way that we can now say thank you. Well, he'll stay for a couple minutes. I'm just going to wrap up really quick. If anybody wants to speak to him personally, get some info.
And I want the voice teacher. You want to get someone. It's like getting a good doctor. I mean, if you've got a good doctor, you trust that doctor. They know everything about you, and you know also they will say what needs to be said to you. Oh yeah. I like the doctor that will like, all right, Lloyd Mallory, this is terrible. You need to get it in gear, else I'm going to do blah blah. You know, I had a doctor like that. But you want a voice teacher that kind of understands you, and also will get. You just have that connection. And so in that, because there are a lot that teach around this area, but you might not be satisfied. You might not be satisfied. You know, I had several teachers that did not get me to where I currently am until I got my present one. So it really is like a needle in a haystack. You want to be very selective about that. So the best way, I think, is to see how that person sings. Also hear how that student of that person, you know, before you make your decision. And if you like that, then I feel safer to say you might want to explore it. If you've heard that person sing, or you've heard students that person has produced. So in that, you have something to go by, as opposed to somebody saying, oh, go to this person, you know, because you don't have anything really to go on. You know, and it's nothing like having that assurance that your apparatus is in good care.
I'm saying to go to this person right here.
And everyone who can sing can't teach others to sing.
That is very true. Yes, yes. There is a difference between, which you can talk about really quick, a vocal coach and a vocal teacher.
Coach. A coach is going to deal with interpretive style. You know, I take a breath here. They'll talk to you about the piece itself, what it's about, get you to connect more with it. A teacher is a person that's really going to give you the scientific way to do it, and they can come to you a variety of ways that works for you. And not only that, they get a result. If you leave a lesson and you feel like you haven't learned anything, or your voice doesn't feel better, you might feel physically tired, but if it hurts, that's a problem. But if you leave that lesson, be like, I did this, I did that. When I got my teacher that I was, you know, I had relative pitch, all of that. But after I left her, I'm like, oh, she knows what she's doing. She got me to do this, this, and this. The other teachers I've had have not. And you don't have to continually do it over and over again for her to get it right. That's the other thing. You know when somebody's guessing on you, well, let me see, try this. No, try this. No. So when I was at UCLA, I had a couple of those. Well, let's try you to do this. Let's tell them, oh, this is not working. So when I go to her, she knows what I'm going to do. She tells me to do this. No, I need it this way. No. And the repetitions come from me doing it wrong to doing it right. It's not because she didn't know what to say. It's that I need to get it right. So with that, it has made me a better teacher because now I don't have to look at you. I can kind of close my eyes and I can tell you you can do this, this, and this, and this. Because it has helped me because I've had a good teacher.
Okay, so I'm going to close it out here. Yes. Please let us.
Also, really quick, we did videotape today, prayerfully when. Prayerfully when I go to transfer this to my laptop, I won't lose it. I lost some critical information that I videotaped last night, so I hope it doesn't happen. And even though I'm Jamaican and I have many jobs, data retrieval is not one of them. So as long as I'm able to successfully transfer this workshop today, if you are interested, I can be sure that this gets to your inbox either by way of an email, of a YouTube link. I'm not exactly sure how it'll be uploaded yet because it's going to be a pretty big file. Because you did get a lot of good information here today, but it's a lot to absorb and it's something that you're going to really want to go back and revisit. So I'll definitely be sure to get this to you over the next couple of days. Yes, Lloyd. I mean, I think that I can safely speak for most individuals that took time out of their schedule to be here today, that we are definitely interested in making this something that happens more than once. I see my good friend back there, Dr. Fred Mason. I know that he's very much in support of this. As a matter of fact, RPC, thankfully, at his suggestion, it is the reason why we're able to collaborate today. Because of a prior discussion that he and I had, we have actually teamed up today. And hopefully at a future date when RPC decides to put on some sort of an enriching workshop of their own, we'll be able to come and join with you as well. So we want to continue to keep this going. As singers, as Levites, we're a small band. Okay, we are a selective few. The Levite tribe numbered over 22,000, but God only called 288 of them to serve as musicians. So you're a selective few. I know my Bible, yes. I know my Bible. All right, so we do want to keep this going.
CPC, thank you. We're so glad. Those of us from RPC, thank you so much for allowing us to be with you. I've been required RPC, and Mark Francis is my good friend. We've been talking about this for a long time. We've been talking maybe for 2 or so years saying CPC and RPC don't really do much together. We go to CPC and sometimes we see the people from RPC at CPC, hey, I know you from RPC, or we see some people over at our church. But we have not really done much together in any official capacity. So we can't speak for the entire church at large, but Mark is my friend. I said, at least we can do something together musically. So when we started talking about the workshop, we said, hey, we have this going on with Dr. Mallory. I said, please see if we can come. And so I'm so glad to see so many of my RPC family here. We just really showed up, man.
They showed up. I'm very happy.
Hopefully this is something
on time. They showed up on time for the food. Dr. Mallory also would like to make it known that he does have some CDs available for you to procure at a nominal fee. That means you can buy it. So please see him afterwards. I'm going to turn it over to Lydia so that we can conclude. Thank you guys again for coming out, taking time.
All right. On behalf of the music ministry, minister of worship, and everybody here, ma'am, you have to, Mark, you have to see. this gentleman. Hi. I'm thanking here. I'm thanking. I and everyone here would like to thank you for taking the time to really come and show us how to be stewards of the talent. Really, really appreciate it. I've seen a lot in him, especially in his life experiences and stuff, where it became more than music. That moment where even your own gift, it changes from music to ministry. There is such a difference in the purpose for your deliverance, because it is no longer for the applause of men, but for the inclination and the ear of our Heavenly Father to say, well done. And it is something that I have been able to learn through his teaching me and just our relationship over the years. So I really want to thank him for that. There was one final question that I got, which was stamina in worship. And this will be something that we'll probably touch on for the next workshop. But how do you sustain? You do all of this stuff, but how do you sustain in your spirit to keep going, whether it's you've been overused at your church, or whether it is that you're having issues at your church, whether it is that you're trying to figure out how you fit in your church. We talked about the different voices. You don't sound like people. How do you sustain? So what I will leave you with, again, is going back to Matthew chapter 25 and the story of the talents. Can you play, since you're there? It's just so wonderful. Hallelujah for me. We're going to sing that. So, hallelujah. What I will say is, at no point ever is someone going to come to you and say, what is it that you did with your gift? Because most of the time, people just want to take what it is that God has given you, right? If you're blessed with the gift of a business acumen, most of the people that you meet just want to see how they can use it for their benefit. But we serve a God who wants you to use it for yours. When you're using those gifts that he has given you, the reason why it needs to be multiplied is not for his edification and his glory, but so that you can live a better life in what he already has. See, if you're just so comfortable with everything that he's given you already, then you turn the focus off of where it is that you need to seek daily to continue to grow what has been given, to just what he placed within you, and nothing happens to it. And if you don't really plant and water, no pun intended, and really water those things that he's given you, then you just think that it was all for your good, that you just gave it to yourself, and I can open my mouth and sing, or I can use my hands and play, and it was all me. But when you know that God is coming back to say, Lydia, what is it that you have done with your gift? Like, God, I did the best that I could, because every day I want to be able to give you the biggest offering that I have. And all of these things that we do, it is not so that we can stand up on the stage and so that people can give us an applause, but so that God actually wants to hear what we're doing. Otherwise, it is all in vain. And so as we leave, I just want us to sing with all of the technique that Mal has taught us just now. Hallelujah. All together. Hallelujah. Oh, let us stand and hold hands, please. Hallelujah. We give you glory, Lord. It is the highest praise. You are the ancient of days. We declare your glory. For all you've done for me, hallelujah.
so much of us that you gave your life for us so that we would be able to stand here before you. Not necessarily worthy because of anything that we've done, but just because we chose to believe in your sacrifice. Lord, we ask that you would please forgive us of any sins, any mistakes that we have made. Cleanse our heart from unrighteousness and accept this prayer at this time. We want to thank you, God, for what you have done here today, for bringing us together in a spirit of fellowship, with a desire to learn, a desire to grow, to be closer to you through the gift that you imparted us in music. We want to thank you for Dr. Mallory and for the gift that you have given him, not just in music, but also the gift of instruction, the gift of clarity, so that everything that left his lips today was understood and made sense. And so that when we walk away from this place knowing that our time has been fulfilled and that it has been not just because of his effort, but it has also been because of the Holy Spirit that was dwelling inside of him. I ask that as we leave this place, God, that we would never leave your presence, that we would take what we have learned here and that we would share it with others, that the music that we sing from this point forward will become even greater because of the greatness that we experienced here today. And for the time that we will meet again in the future, I ask that we'll be able to experience again good times like we experienced here today. Thank you for each family member that is here, for each family that is represented by each person that is here. Continue to bless them in their walk this week. All these things we ask in your son's name. Amen.
It was nice to have the second official meeting of you today.